I have got a PhD in life. I'm spending my whole weekend in my pajamas and I'm not doing shit. You don't pay my bills or suck my dick. So like, what do I care what some random person on the internet thinks of me? And new year, new me, you gotta have some fun. God, Tim, everything you touch just like is amazing. And I want to tell that person, no the fuck it's not. I'm only trying to make one fucking person happy, and that's Tim Castleman. Oh shit, he's back. Welcome to another episode, another edition of Tim Talks, calling this one Straight to Hell, Stuck in Hell, Welcome to Hell, How I Escaped Hell. Lots of hell talk in this one. Let me hit a button here real quick. I want to hold that so I don't accidentally shut off the recorder while I'm recording this here in beautiful, pristine, I never thought these words would come out of my mouth, Lubbock, fucking Texas. I am back, folks, after my whirlwind adventures to start off the year, going to Vegas, going to Key West. I made a little stop. Was that a little burp? Yes, it was. Thank you, Coke Zero. Apparently, a precious resource, according to every airline I've tried to go to. And many places I visit now, sadly, are Pepsi only, which is terrible. You guys know how I feel about that, but just in case this is your first time, you should know that anybody that offers you a Pepsi to drink is not a true friend or family member. They are a government agent put here to poison you with that terrible, terrible shit because it tastes absolutely horrific. Who likes Pepsi? I think people post-COVID might like Pepsi more than Coca-Cola, but that's the only way that happens. And yes, that's a hill that I'm not willing to die on. What I am willing to tell you is I felt like I was going to die. So when we last chatted again, who knows where I was? I think I was in Key West. I just wrapped up Mile Zero Fest, gave you a little breakdown on that and, how they basically tried to take every dollar. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, and every paper cut was a $1 bill, And then on my way to Key West, I get a call from the parents, right? Now, my parents, you should know, I've always lived, because I'm a mama's boy. No, it just happened to work out like this. I've always lived pretty close to my parents. Obviously, when I was inside, my mother was the closest. And then I moved outside as a child, to a housing unit. And then when my dad retired from the military, he retired to Lubbock, Texas, because that's where he'd bought a house while he was in the military. I was at Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma, for Air Force training, my service. Well, not training. My training was actually in Alabama, which come full circle here in just a second. And then I lived in Oklahoma and Enid, and did my Air Force thing, got out, came to ROTC here in Lubbock, Texas, hurt my leg. A lot of things happened between now and then. And now I'm, a successful small business owner who got all the gold stars in therapy today. So this is part of my glow up. I just feel so strong and empowered that I am doing the work, that I am listening to my therapist, that I am putting the things she says into actions. And as a result, I get gold stars. Actually, she fucking hates that. That's why I make her say it every once in a while. Because when you're private pay, you can get your doctors to say whatever you want. They're like, I don't want to say that, Mr. Castleman. It's like, look, I don't pay you $35 through insurance. You get the whole enchilada with me, baby. You get that 45 from me. I need you to say I had a gold star day. That's not what we do here. It's like, look, I put $45 down on the barrelhead. I need you to say I had gold star day. So today was a gold star day in therapy. Go me, pat on the back. Right? Try to fillet myself. It's not even filleting. That was me just every time I try to put my shoes on. My dogs are looking at me like, oh, this fucking fat guy's going to try and make us walk again. So on my way to Key West, that's where we were. My dad calls and he goes, hey, we didn't even talk about, I apologize. I've opened a couple loops and I haven't closed them. Let's close the living thing. So my parents have lived here in Lubbock, Texas, as long as obviously I've lived here in Lubbock, Texas, which is coming up on way too fucking long. Probably close to 20 years. I don't know if I'll make my 20-year mark. Little upset at the city right now. Don't know if you heard. Little upset with the people, the judicial system, just pretty much anybody right now in Lubbock, Texas can get these hands, right? Can get these paper hands. So my parents retire because that's what you do when you get old. And of course, they want to move down to Florida because that's the second thing you do. You retire and then you move down to Florida because your old bones can't handle the 60-degree weather that we have here in Lubbock, Texas, and the fact that we do get dust bowl storms and like 60-mile-an-hour winds, right? It's ridiculous. There's literally times where you'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to go out into the dirt, and you walk out to like check your mail. and you have like grit and shit in your teeth. It's horrific sometimes, right? And you go, well, Tim, why the fuck do you live there? Not for much longer, right? I thought they liked me here. Turns out they don't. So time to move on, possibly. Anyway, parents, Florida, old, weather, got it. So my parents tell me one time, okay, my dad retires from the military and then he retires from the VA, right? Lifelong government serviceman, thank you. And he's like, look, your mom and I are going to go down to Florida and we're going to look at some houses and we're going to buy something and we're going to retire to Florida and all that. And I'm like, oh, cool. You know, and as a concerned son, I ask just the basic questions, you know, hey, well, you know, what are you looking at? What are you thinking? And, you know, I get back from my parents that they want, you know, beachfront property in Florida. And I was like, okay. And the reason why there was that pregnant pause there and the sigh of like, this ain't going to work is that my dad is the same guy who refuses to pay for valet parking in Vegas. By the way, valet parking in Vegas, totally free. You just got to tip them. You throw them a $5, they say, thank you, sir. And they try their best not to fuck up your vehicle. Okay. Unfortunately, my dad thinks the cost of that is too high. I mean, I love him. I don't think he means poorly by it. I just don't think he really knows. And he's at the age where his brain is full of information and not currently taking or accepting feedback. It's just like, I'm programmed until death, son. You know, this is how we're going out of this bitch. We're not, you know, old dog learning new tricks. That ship has sailed. Okay. That ship has sailed, sunk, been brought up and put into a museum for others to look at. That's how long that ship has sailed for. They're like, oh, is that as old as the Titanic? Probably, if you look into it, probably is. Okay. But suddenly my dad is going to go down to Florida. I keep wanting to call it Florida, Texas. That's because of the THC. Florida, and fucking buy beachfront property up there. And I'm just like, well, you know, I just don't think, Dad, this is going to work. But, you know, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens. Well, of course, what happens. You know exactly what happens. I get a call 2 days later, and I don't even think I got the phone all the way up to my ear where I was like, hello? And my dad was like, do you know how expensive the homes down here are and what they're asking for beachfront property? And I'm thinking like, yeah, I do, Dad, because there's this thing called the internet that you have access to on your phone that you could have looked this up before going. I don't know if they thought they were like going back to the Lucy and Desi days, or they just thought they were going to show up and, you know, tell a colored to be like, I'd like to buy this swampland right here. Like, I'm just like, how ass backwards is your brain? Like, I know you're not accepting new tricks, but like, you know, could you just like realize times have changed? Right? I mean, my parents are just at the age that if you say the wrong thing in a restaurant, it's going to divulge into how Donald Trump got screwed out of the presidency, some type of horrifically racist thing. They don't understand why it's racist. It's like, you know, well, it's just the coloreds don't. I'm like, Mom, we're at church right now. Okay, don't need you to kind of bring this up. Well, you just know that, and you're just like, okay. I mean, my parents, we're getting them to Florida so we can get them in the home. It's a step process, guys, okay? And you're like, well, that's terrible, Tim, that your parents are racist like that and haven't educated themselves. My parents probably can't even spell woke, all right? Actually, that's a lie. They can. But they're not about the woke culture, okay? All right? What they need to do to change is die. I love my parents. I want them to live as long as possible, okay? But what they need to do to change their belief systems and their, you know, which I do not believe in. I want to be clear here. Don't try to cancel me like Joe Rogan. Don't try to put this shit on the net and be like, after Spotify signed that exclusive $1 deal with Tim Castleman, we'd like to have him canceled because he referred to his parents as being terribly racist and not good. And the only thing, they are great people. Okay, they just don't get it. The elevator just doesn't go to that level. I don't know how to explain it. There's no way, you know, why don't you introduce them to some, you know, African-American or folks it's not going to go well. That's why. And unintentionally, they'll just, I mean, I think there's sometimes my parents just like meet people and it goes horrible and they just go, I don't understand how it went like that. I was kind. I told her that, you know, she wasn't the biggest whore I've ever met because she had had 2 children by 2 different daddies. I talked about how the Mexicans are ruining the world by having all them illegal babies and taking jobs from Americans. Like, cotton picking, and you're just like, okay, it's like, well, once we start talking about plantations and the show, it's just like, okay, let's fucking get this back to dogs real quick, or someone's gonna have to call the police. All right, they're lovely people in my eyes, in spite of that, but apparently they don't understand that the internet works. Okay, and if they did, they would have got a clue that this was not the place for them. There's no way. I mean, I can't. There's so many instances in my childhood where I've spent money and my dad has damn near had a panic attack. I remember one year went to Vegas, quit bragging, on my birthday, and they gave me $100 in free slot play, and I was playing their money, $100 of a dollar at a time, and you would have thought my father was going to stroke it. I just don't understand why you're spending that money so fast, boy. It's like, it's not even my money. Right? Also, he has a more vernacular than boy. It's just easier to say it like that, right? Easier for him, not for me. I'm like, Dad, stop it. There was one time I saw him, we were downtown Vegas walking out. All these are like gambling stories, right? Where we're walking out of a place, and as a result of, I just happened to be walking out of another casino, and I see him, and he looks pissed. I'm like, Dad, you all right? He goes, I was in the Golden Nugget for an hour and a half, and they didn't serve me one goddamn beer. Right, that's before I found Jesus, by the way. And I was like, well, what was the deal? He goes, well, I was paying the penny slots. I'm like, okay. And I saw the waitress. I said, ma'am, I've been waiting for 45 minutes. Can I get a beer? And she goes, sir, I can't serve you alcohol if you're only paying or playing 1 cent per slot roll. I need you to bump that up to a minimum of 5 cents while I am around. Let me be clear, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they're being told. Not that I can't serve you. It's just, hey, while I'm around for the 2 or 3 minutes, bump your bet up, and then I can get you your alcoholic drink of choice. So what does my dad do? He cashes the $6.34 out, and he's done. And he's off, and then we're never going back to the Golden Nugget again. They've lost my business forever, et cetera, et cetera. That's the type of people I'm dealing with who thought they were going to get beachfront property for 1950s prices. I mean, just didn't happen. So somehow, some way, I don't know how this happened. I don't care enough to explore how it happened, but they ended up in Alabama. Now, I'm going to let you sink that in for a minute based on what I've told you about my wonderful, hardworking, and loving parents who just don't understand the new vernacular, don't care to learn it, and don't see what's wrong with how they say it. They decide to move to Alabama. Now, I don't know if you've Googled Alabama, and I haven't, but I would assume the African-American population is probably quite a bit higher than it is in Lubbock, Texas, and maybe even that my parents would be the minority. I don't know. I'm guessing. And I'm not saying the individual town because I don't want you to join up and burn a cross in their front yard or, have them come to your Klan rally meeting. Leave my parents alone. Again, lovely people whose opinions will change once they die. That's the only way we're making progress and change, okay? Unfortunately. So they end up in Podunk, Alabama. That's all I'm going to call it. That's all you need to know about it. It's exactly what you're thinking. 2-stoplight town, double roads. Everybody knows your name. Got a Piggly Wiggly. No Waffle House, which I was severely disappointed. But, life ebbs and it flows, ladies and gentlemen, right? Ebbs and flows. So my parents are in the process of moving there. I say in the process because my parents don't trust anybody. And as a result of that, they want to move themselves. I should also mention my parents are in their 70s, right? My mom is. My dad is a few years younger, right? She was the cougar. Short story long, they've been moving themselves back and forth for over 2 years now. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're moving themselves because they don't trust anybody. They don't want to hire anybody, et cetera. It's just a nightmare. It's just like, okay. I told them, when y'all are done, just let me know, and I'll just light the match, and we'll just call this good. You don't need to save any of this. It's all getting burnt, okay? So my dad was here. Then he wasn't because he had to go back and take care of my mom, and he's an amazing man. I am so grateful to have him as a father, okay? The way he dotes on my mother is just, I've never seen love like that. And I think it's amazing, and I also think it's why some of my problems have been in my relationship, because I'm like, well, no, you spend every waking second together just like my parents did, and you tell that person you love them 1,000,000 times, and you reassure them that everything's okay, and that can't get annoying at all, right? Therapy Gold Star Day.
So my parents in the process of moving back to Alabama. I don't foresee good things there, but, hey, it's their life. It's not mine, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than Florida, apparently. So they're in the process of moving there. My mom gets sick. My dad rushes back to her side because he's an amazing husband. Again, dotes on her, all that great stuff. Well, that leaves him without a ride to come back to Lubbock to get his ride so he can continue the moving truck adventure and take load number 19 back to Texas, right? From Texas, to Podunk, Alabama. So I get the call up, right? Hey, you're in the minors, but we need you to come to the majors. Listen, son, I need you to come pick me up so I'll travel back with you. And then what we'll do is we'll get home, to Lubbock, and I'll stay a couple days, then head back to Podunk, Alabama until I come out and, haunt your hollowed halls again. And I'm like, sure, Dad, because I'm a people pleaser and I want to help you out. And, how bad could it be? All I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, is just I'm going to stop by on a Tuesday, pick him up, we're going to go, and then we'll be home by Thursday. So I get over with Mile Zero Fest. I decide I don't want to stick around in Florida on a Monday and try to meet some people. I want to go see my family, because I don't want to just show up on Tuesday and then try to leave on Tuesday and then get the fucking talk from my mom through my dad of like, well, so he just came for like 2.5 hours. It's like he doesn't even realize that I was in labor for 42 hours with him. And I mean, what's so wrong with me? I just, all we have is 2 channels, and the Hallmark channel and the Western fucking channel, and I never take those off. And my idea of physical activity is putting my moo-moo on and walking out to the living room to watch TV until I take one of my mini naps, of the day. So then I can then go to bed at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night and then sleep. It's my parents are like, I don't know, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, well, did you try maybe taking one of the 4 naps you take a day prior to going to bed at 8 o'clock out? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about maybe eating beyond 4 p.m. so that your body actually has some substance in it while you rest? No? Okay, just some thoughts. No rush, right? So I'm like, yeah, Dad, I can do that. So I rush up on Monday so we can spend a majority of Monday together, right? The Hallmark marathon mystery movies and old Westerns where John Wayne apparently played every race. I'm just like, okay, so John Wayne is the Indian in this one, the cowboy in that one, the Irishman in this one. It's just like, what I mean, did nobody they probably couldn't even spell cultural appropriation back then or even knew what the hell it was. It's just like, oh, John Wayne's the Indian this time. Okay, we believe him. And John Wayne be like, how? Be like, oh, shit, that's the best white Indian guy I've ever seen. If only there were Indian people. I mean, could you imagine that happening today? Where they're like, Tom Cruise, and I know it does. Don't try to cancel me. I understand Scarlett Johansson wants to play this character. And because it's just, Bill Burr has a great bit about it on Paper Tiger, his comedy special that's, I believe, currently available through Netflix. You should check it out. It's talking about Top Gun and stuff. You'll know when you hit it. But just, I mean, what the fuck, people? So I go, show up Monday, and I think, great, we're in and out. Dad's going to, everything, Monday's a dream. We watch 4 or 5 movies. They fall asleep at 8 p.m. I fall asleep at 10 p.m. because, by the way, this town has no internet and 1 bar of cell phone service. If I had one of those old Nokia phones where you had to pull the antenna up, that's what I'd have been doing. I literally would send a text message, not a video message, not a photo message, a literal, hey, you up text message, and I got to wave it around like I'm trying to start a fire in the air. It's just, what is happening? Right? What year is this? Is this the 1990s again, where I'm paying 10 cents per text message? These mother truckers, like, it's ridiculous. So I hang out with them Monday. I get up Tuesday. They're already gone. This is going so fucking perfect. Okay, my plan, my execution is great. Maximum, brownie points, minimum time served in Camp Lejeune here, and then we get to go back home. This is awesome. This is great. Fuck, my parents send me a text message. Hey, son, your dad's doctor's appointments were canceled today. We're coming back early. Oh, shit. Now, did I beat off to that text message? No, because I'm not a freak. But you understand my level of excitement. I was like, oh, yes, Jesus. Yes, thank you, Lord. I'm ready to come home, right? Texas, I want to get back to your beautiful fucking non-First Amendment loving ass as quickly as possible. It's like an abusive relationship. I have Stockholm Syndrome with Lubbock, Texas. I hate it, but sometimes you just need it, right? You're just like, oh, okay, all right, I hate it. Sometimes you just need it. I don't know if that makes any sense. It made sense to me. That's why it came out this big old fucking mouth. Insert disclaimer here, right? So my dad, he picks me up. We go to lunch. I go, hey, Dad, so what are you thinking? We're going to get on the road. What time are you thinking? He goes, how about tomorrow? Oh, you mean like not Tuesday? You want to wait till Wednesday? Beautiful day out right now. We could be there in 15 hours. Hell, I'll drive it the whole way just so I can get us home. So I can get out of Podunk, Alabama and back to non-freedom of speech loving Lubbock, Texas, right? Leave my side hoe for my main hoe. Take my main bro with me. Well, you know, I'm a good son. I'm a good steward. I'm a good person. And you know that because I spent the time just telling you those things. No, I'm just saying, you know, you're kind of stuck, all right? It's like you're 17 again in your parents' house. I'm literally sleeping in my parents' house like I'm 17 again, and it's hard to say no. So I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I can take another 4-hour nap and then get up and then go to bed at 10 o'clock and, you know. Basically, if retirement in life is what my parents are doing currently, I've been retired for the last 5 years and didn't even realize it, minus the moo-moo. That could change at any time. I actually want to get a robe. So when I record these, I can just put the robe on and be like, ooh, I got my cuddle blankets. Great. So I'm like, well, that's okay because we're going to get up Wednesday. I'm going to sleep in the RV Tuesday night. You can just get up when you want to, Dad. I was like, whatever time. You want to get up at 4 o'clock every morning like you normally do? Oh, son, I don't want to drive while the sun's not up. No big deal, Dad. I just researched it on a one-bar cell service, and the one question I get to ask a day through Google that I actually go through, looks like sun sets up at 6:30, so I can be in the RV at 2:30, and then when you wake up and want to get on the road, then we'll do that, and then when I wake up, 5, 6, 7 hours into the trip, I'll drive us on home, through the night hours. I got it, right? Utilize the people that you have. You take the old people that are up early in the morning and drive as well as the sun is bright. And then when it starts getting a little dark at about 3 o'clock and they start missing turns and what sign is that and all this other bullshit, it's just not a good thing. So as a result of that, I'm like, okay, well, cool. We'll get on the road 6 p.m. Now, I'm down, but I'm not out. I'm hurt, but I'm not fatally destroyed. 1 extra day, that's great. That's another tick on the box with Mom, so she can't be like, he was only here for a day and a half. It's like, babe, we stayed an extra day. We stayed all the way till Wednesday morning and left before you got up. Then I fuck up. I make what I would candidly say is the biggest mistake of my life to date. This would be including hiring certain former staff members, my wife walking out on me with no notice, me losing a $302,000 First Amendment case that the judge refused to even hear our side. All of those things fail in comparison to what happens next. Because I say, Dad, you know what? I'm so excited. Let me just see the paradise we're going to be rolling into from Podunk, Alabama to Lubbock, Texas. Let me just do a little search of the weather maps. Let Google work for me and tell me about this pristine, beautiful ride that we have ahead of us to Freedom Town. Winter weather advisory. Now, if you're over the age of probably 55, when I said winter weather advisory, you immediately started shivering with fear, felt like you had to go check the oil in your vehicle, go to the store, grab some bread, some milk, and some paper towels, maybe 60 rolls of toilet paper in case you have explosive diarrhea, for 5 continuous years. Winter weather advisory, snow, sleet, and ice expected to cover the Western Hemisphere practically, including but not limited to Lubbock, Texas, where apparently it's just going to hang out there for an extra 5 minutes just because it can. Everywhere else is like, there's a little bit of ice and snow. Lubbock, Texas apparently is going to be a fucking skating rink because climate change isn't real and we don't have any snow equipment. Like, Our literal plan for when it snows is, well, it'll melt eventually, and we'll just keep the kids out of school for as long as it takes. Well, now he knows. I can't lie to him. The Weather Channel can't lie to him. And then we go from, hey, everything's good, beautiful sunny day outside, to the possibility of snow, sleet, ice, And suddenly we have a problem. We have a major problem, ladies and gentlemen. Lunch gets delayed because blueprints have to be drawn up. A battle plan has to be established so we can figure out how to safely get us from Podunk, Alabama to Lubbock, Texas. Well, immediately Wednesday was taken off the table. Son, would you be too disappointed if we didn't leave till Thursday? Now, I need you to understand something, folks. I had plans in my mind of being high off my ass on Thursday, rolling my balls around in my own bed, taking a sporadic shower, living the shut-in life that I'm accustomed to when it comes to being here in Lubbock, Texas. I had plans to do all of this. And now you're telling me that we're not even going to leave till Thursday? Well, shit, we can get home a little super early Friday morning. Okay, what choice do I have? Why is this good deed not going unpunished? What did I do wrong, Lord? I'm not a religious man, but I started praying. I said, Lord, what did I do wrong? Did I kick a homeless person? Did I not tip somebody enough? Why are you forsaking me and keeping me in the land of no internet? I'm convinced right now, the way they're torturing POWs in foreign black site, CIA torture sites, is giving them slow internet and shitty cell phone reception and a list of people they got to call and shit they got to do. And they psychologically break those motherfuckers doing that. And now you want me to expose myself to another 24 hours of this mental training. Is it the 75 hard that so many people do where it's like, oh, you got to work out twice a day and drink a gallon of water and no booze and no cheap meals and this and that? No, it's harder. Okay? Because I got to live with Queen Moo Moo and Donald Trump Jr. for another 24 hours before we can even begin our trek that is now going to be treacherous to get home. But home we shall be. Well, Judgment Day came on Wednesday, and it came from a friend's text of concern to me and my parents at the same time. A friend I no longer speak to after this incident. I was like, how could you do me dirty like this? When my wife abandoned our marriage, you didn't contact me once. But this text message that you sent to my parents, letting them know that the roads were terrible and they had ice covered in snow on them and there's no way in hell we should even possibly consider driving on Thursday as a result of Wednesday, hurt me more than you just never contacting me when my wife left me. That hurt a little. This hurt a lot. You not contacting me after my wife abandoned our marriage, broken bone. This, total amputation at the shoulder level. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would have already been home on Tuesday if I didn't stop and be a good Samaritan and a good person like I have to tell you on this podcast I am. People will be like, I don't think he's a good person. Anyone has to tell you he's a good person isn't. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife left me. My staff fucking skedaddled, right? Depression. I mean, I am a better person, but I definitely had my flaws before I realized the survival system that I had developed as a child was no longer needed as an adult. And that's another gold star, bitch. Put it on the wall. Here's your $45. Shut up. It's actually a lot more. Put it on the wall. That's 2 gold stars today. Hang it up. So now my friend has condemned me to another 24-hour in the torture chamber, watching Hallmark movies, Matlock. No, it wasn't even Matlock. It was Perry Mason, John Wayne Western movies. I mean, it was tough. Oh, and by the way, you know what they run on those commercials? They run on all those channels? Every medicine you can think of. I mean, everyone was getting a shot, a pill. You got dry eyes, we got a shot. Sure, I mean, it's going to take one of your eyes if you take the shot, but the other one will be so moist from all the blood that's squirting out from it. Would you like to try and talk to your doctor about this? And it's like, no, I wouldn't actually. This sounds horrific. They also run vaccine commercials. This is how progressive Alabama is. They have George W. Bush, whatever the youngest Bush, the last Bush that was in the White House doing you should get a shot commercial. And of course, my parents, being proud Donald Trump supporters, immediately point to the TV and start going, Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Like the Manchurian Candidate had just been given his code word, and they were ready to explode. I was just like, were you guys at the January 6th thing? Like, what the fuck is going on here? So now I can't leave on Thursday. But Friday's coming, friends. Hope abounds. Our sentence, although long, is not permanent. Freedom is near. 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. Knock, knock, knock on the door. Hey, son, let's get on the road. Door swings wide open. I'm packed. I'm ready. I'm showered. My puss is clean. I'm good. I brushed my teeth. I washed my clothes. I didn't make the bed. Said my prayers. Took my vitamins. Let's go. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. He's like, you want anything for breakfast? I'm like, we'll get it on the road. He's like, we need gas. We'll get that on the road. Anything we need is outside these hollowed halls, Dad. Let's get it going. So he wants to drive, old generation, be chivalrous, make sure that the son is taken care of, and also to feel like he's in control. You know what? You're a war veteran, disabled one at that. I'll support you. After all, I'm a good person. So I let my dad drive. And he cranks that RV, V10, all the way to 55 miles per hour. Now, I'm so delirious that I have been released from Satan's grip in Podunk, Alabama. I don't even pay attention to the fact that I could be walking alongside the RV at this time and keeping pace, even in my current physical state. It's hilarious. I walked 3 miles at Mile Zero Fest, and then I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll walk at 55 miles an hour. I can do it. Never done it in my life, but I could do it with no physical training or experience. So we start taking off and driving. I don't know how fast we're going. I don't care. A couple hours in, he goes, you don't mind I'm driving like this, do you? I'm like, no, Dad, I love that you're driving. I'm sure you feel safe and secure. He goes, oh, I just meant the speed. My friend hates it because, I don't care what it is. I typically don't go over 55 miles an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a 15-hour drive at 70 miles an hour. And you're telling me we're going to go 20 miles an hour under the speed limit times 17. And while I'm trying to do the mental math in my head, trying to grab the calculator app on my phone and not draw attention to myself, Hiroshima Part 2 just gets dropped in my lap. Well, son, what we're going to do is we're going to stop at the state line of Texas, spend the night, and then we'll make the drive into Lubbock tomorrow. Tomorrow? You talking? I mean, this is a Friday. You talking about we're still gonna be driving home on a Saturday? Well, Dad, what time you think we'll get in? Like, you thinking like 6, 7 in the morning on Saturday? Oh no, I bet we'll get in about 4 or 5 p.m. because it's gonna be a solid 8 hours from where we stop. Ladies and gentlemen, my wife gone, staff gone, money gone, property gone. Darkest days of my life, where I have seriously contemplated suicide, to the point that on a few occasions I started writing a suicide note and planning out how to take my own life. If you took all those days and you combine them into one, it would be like dropping a grape in the Grand Canyon, or as I lovingly used to say, like dropping a grape in my first wife's vagina, to show you how minuscule the pain of all of that was compared to learning that it was going to take 2 days for us to get home. And that apparently I could be pushing the bus to help save on some gas. But you know what? We're troopers. So we make it all the way up through Alabama. We make it to Mississippi. Things are going good. Things are going so good. I'm like, Dad, you know what? I'm going to take one of those 4-hour power naps that I like so much so that I can just forget about the fact that we're going to be doing this again tomorrow. And I could actually go to sleep now, wake up 24 hours later, and we still wouldn't be home. The second my body starts to rest and my brain starts to shut off, my dad says, hey, son, it looks like I'm getting pulled over. Now, again, we're going 60 miles an hour. Speed limit's 70. Minimum's 40, by the way. My dad, who's in his 60s, who I think might have a speeding ticket from 1984 on his record, disabled American veteran behind the wheel. I'm not worried. Surely it's a misunderstanding. Maybe it's something funny and humorous that we could talk about on a podcast. And you know what? I'm going to do it to you, folks. Nah, fuck that. I was like, I'm going to do it to you and do a part 2. No, this is a bonus. We're going into extra innings, okay? All I do is win, 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 no matter what. So we get pulled over. Guy comes up and says, listen, sir, you're driving this RV. It's a big RV. All these semis are driving past you because they're speeding like crazy because they're trying to make up for the lost time that they've been stuck for the last 2 to 3 days. You're crossing the white line. You've done it a couple times. We are concerned that you might be drunk. But you seem like a nice gentleman. Let me grab your ID, your insurance. Why don't you come on back to the vehicle? We'll get you a warning and we'll get you on your way. Now, I'm not concerned at all because I had the same thing happen to me in the past driving a big RV. Same exact thing. They bring you back to the car. They want to just let you sit there, exhale a couple times, see if they can smell any drugs, or alcohol on your breath. Probably more alcohol than weed. But as a result, you're going to sit there for 15 minutes and they're going to write the warning and you're going to go on your thing. So I'm just, laying in bed like an international playboy still. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. No big deal. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later. And I'm like, so by this point, 30 minutes into it, I'm sitting up because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm checking the rear view. I'm not making any sudden movements, not doing anything. I'm not trying to get shot. Okay? Not trying to get shot. So next thing I know, Trooper, whatever his name is, he's lucky I don't have the slip in front of me because I'd have no problem lambasting this guy. That's foreshadowing. Comes up to me and he's like, hey, sir, how you doing? And I'm like, great. And he goes, where are you coming from? I tell him where I'm coming from and all that. And he goes, well, here's the deal. Your dad's acting mighty nervous. And that's a tell to us that there might be something in the vehicle that we need to know about. And this route has been used for human trafficking and drugs quite often. And as a result, I'd like your permission to search your bags. Your dad has already given me permission to search the vehicle. We want to search your bags. Now, as he says that, my butthole puckers to the size of a baby starfish and diamonds start coming out because I start thinking, I don't think I've got any CBD related products with me, but I can't be 100% sure. And this guy's about to come in and make a memory and an arrest possibly if he finds anything. Lucky for me, we're totally clear. Sigh of relief. But this guy suits up like he's doing a CSI forensic accounting, puts on a body cam, like connects it to an external hard drive and goes through everything. I mean, every nook and cranny of this vehicle to find absolutely nothing. Takes an hour and a half total for us to be released from the roadside after they searched the vehicle. And by the way, I realized post all of this, I did it all wrong. And I'll tell you all about that in a minute. And then to be released by a warning. And the guy looked legitimately disappointed that all he was giving us was a warning. We get in the vehicle. We start driving. My dad says, yeah, he told me that they were going to search the vehicle. And if they found any large sums of money, they would immediately confiscate it. And that we would have to prove to the local judge that it wasn't made from illicit means. And you think, well, Tim, yeah, if they pull you over and they take $100,000 and they find it, yeah, of course I understand that. No, ladies and gentlemen. The average civil asset forfeiture is $600. You know how much $600 gets you with a lawyer? Probably your initial consultation and maybe 1 hour of work. So most people let it go. Type up civil asset forfeiture, and you'll see how this is a systemic problem in the United States. There's been guys that have pulled out from a bank and just withdrawn $30,000, and they have all the receipts and everything, and they explain why they have it and what they're doing and all this good stuff. They take it. And when you win the case, they go, oh, we don't have that money anymore. We sent that off to the feds. And then the feds go, we don't have that money anymore. We sent that back to the state. So even when you win, you lose. Had I known that, I wouldn't let them search the vehicle. Now, here's all the ways I fucked up. One, right? Should be no doubt whether I had anything with me or not. That's a rookie move, but didn't expect to get pulled over, right? Of course, you never expect it. Shit happens, right? It's never like when you're like, I'm going through this drug border crossing and they got 15 drug-sniffing dogs. It's never when you get caught. It's like you get pulled over for a busted taillight and it's like, oh, you got a pound of weed in the car? Which never. Of course, I'm just using it as an example, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, second thing was I should have said no to the consent, right? They had nothing to go on. They were using my dad's nervousness as probable cause. Yeah, I shouldn't have done it. And the last thing is I shouldn't have struck up a conversation with the other officer. I was just trying to make conversation because we were stuck there for 30 minutes. But like that's a telltale sign of nervousness is when you're like, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. I should have said, no, I don't give you consent to search the vehicle or the car while I'm in it. You know, ticket my father for crossing the line and release him and let's go, you know. But I can't believe in 2022 I'm telling you about highway bandits that are employed by the law. This wasn't some pirate that pulled us over looking for money. This was a legally licensed law enforcement officer who could have arrested us, taken us to jail, impounded the vehicle. He could have done whatever the fuck he wanted to us. And then we would have to prove our innocence instead of him having to prove our guilt. What the fuck is happening to our country? And I'm proud to be, you know, like I just baffled. Something I didn't give a shit about before last week because it never happened to me. But now I'm like, this is some bullshit. Pull over my disabled vet father, who again, no warrants, no speeding tickets, no anything, and then be like, we want to give you a proctology exam on the side of the road. Why? Well, just in case you got something. We make it through that. Then we get to the state line of Texas, and then we stop. It's going to be sub-zero temperatures, but it's okay. We got a heater in the RV, and it works great for about 5 hours. And then sometime during the night, it shuts off, and I wake up to my body being cold as ice. I felt like Survivor Man. I mean, I've survived being in Podunk, Alabama for a damn near a week with no modern conveniences. Sure, I had running water. Sure, we had food. Sure, we had electricity and heat and places to sleep and, you know, memory foam mattresses and all of these things. But I didn't have cell phone or internet, goddammit. And I felt less than whole. We survived the modern day pirates known as the Mississippi Police Department or whoever these sham motherfuckers were. And then we survived almost freezing to death under the stars of Texas because apparently the battery that I had in the RV didn't work. We fixed that problem. The snow starts to melt off the vehicle. Warmth returns to our bodies and our bones. The sun is out. Hope is restored. And my dad goes, let me drive today, son. Which I know. Because I've had a gold star day in therapy, he's just scared. He's worried. He's concerned. And he feels safer when he's in control. And if we're going to hit a median at 22 miles an hour, like he'd like us to, he'll do it at his hands. So we do a run-walk combo as if it's our first week back in the gym, driving next to the RV, walking next to the RV, running next to the RV, and finally, we get back to Lubbock, Texas. We pull in to my parking lot, notice that my burner vehicle has been messed with. One of the tires is flat. The back suddenly has a dent it didn't have before. Could it be a scorned lover? Who knows? Could have been some kids screwing around? Probably so. Annoying nonetheless. We get in, and my dad, who you can set a watch to, a clock to, going to bed at 8:30, blows right through 8:30 to 9, 9:30, 10. Now, I'm ready to live my life, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I'm ready to load a bowl of CBD and smoke my brains out as a little welcome home. Sure, you may have kids and loved ones and dogs and all that welcome you home. I have CBD. And I'm just waiting for my dad to go so I can spark up some CBD so that I can enjoy my evening like I do when he's not there and really solidify an end to 2 weeks of financial, mental, emotional, and state-sponsored terror that was Key West Podunk, Alabama, Pirate, Mississippi, and now Lubbock, Texas. So like a true non-addict, I start getting agitated. I start thinking, maybe we got a problem. Why are we jonesing so bad to do this? And then I decide about 2 seconds after he tells me he's going to bed that we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Let's go hit this motherfucker. Well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go outside? It's still sub-freezing. My body is not warmed up truly to 100% from our night out in the wilderness of no propane and a shitty battery. Can't do that. Only one thing I can do. One thing I never got a chance to do when I was the actual age, and that was to pretend I was 16 years old again and smoke in my own bathroom. Now, I want you to understand, this is my fucking house. I am the king of my domain, unless my parents come, and then they have a pretty good say over what happens. So I feel like I'm acting like I would have if I was 16. I'm taking CBD rips into the toilet bowl. I'm flushing like I have a UTI. I'm going to the bathroom so often, people are probably going, that guy's doing coke. Unfortunately, it's much, much sadder than that. I finally reached a state of nirvana known as Cloud 9. Take my medications because I'm old. Didn't take them the day before and felt all fucked up. And pass out at 11:30 at night. As I laid there in bed and drifted off to sleep with some nameless podcast in my ear, like maybe this one is, while you're doing whatever you're doing, all I could think of was, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. Daddy's home. See you next week.